Hey everyone, this is Carrie Ann with Stampin' on the Bright Side, and I just want to show you what you can do with things that you have if you're inspired by a card that somebody else made with the stamp set or materials that you don't own, how you can take them and you can kind of turn them into something of your own. So first I'm just going to go ahead and make my card. And then I'm going to show you where my inspiration came from. And then I'm going to, what I'm making my card with is materials that I own that are actually, some of them are retired. The stamp set is retired. The paper is retired. It's from our holiday catalog from the winter. And the inspiration actually came from a current stamp set that we used during one of my card classes with Lisa Marie. And and other materials, and I just kind of put my own spin on it and really liked it and just wanted to share that with you. Okay, so what we're starting out with is we're going to have our base is going to be Whisper White cut. This is from 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, and we cut it in half landscape, so it's 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and I scored it at 4 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and use my bone folder to go ahead and burnish that edge, okay? And then I'm using a piece of early espresso paper, cardstock, and it is cut at 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. It's going to fit, it's going to be a tight fit. You usually cut off about 1/4 of an inch between the layers, and I went 1/8 of an inch less than that for each of these layers. And then this paper is from a paper pack. I don't remember what it's called anymore. It doesn't really matter, I guess, because it's now retired. And it's not, I checked the clearance to see if there was any in there, and it's not. It's Come Together Designer Series paper. It's really pretty. I had some left over, so I wanted to use it. And I just love this right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this aside for now. Okay. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a stamp set that I have that is retired, and it is called Butterfly Basics. It's really cute, and to be honest, I never actually used it before it went out. It's one of the ones that I had put into my stack to sell, and then I was passing by that box the other day and was like, no, I think I'm keeping this one. I really like it. So we're going to use this big flower right here. We're going to use it a couple of times, so we're going to have to stamp on some scrap white also. All right. So I'm going to show you one of the techniques that you can do is if you have a nice piece of background paper that's not too busy, you could actually stamp right on the background paper. So I'm going to do that with Early Espresso. This worked earlier really well, so hopefully it will look nice on camera. Let me turn it where I can see it good. Okay. Perfect. Okay, good. And I'm going to stamp it one more time on this Whisper White cardstock, but I'm only going to stamp part of it because I just want that flower at the top, really. And you'll see what I'm going to use that for in a little bit. Perfect. Okay. All right. And you know, while I'm at it, I think I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment onto my petal pink paper since it's in Early Espresso also. And go ahead and punch that out. Okay, I'm using with Sympathy, and I'll tell you why in just a second, but it's from the Flourishing Phrases. This is still current. It's really beautiful, and one of my favorite sentiment sets. Oh, you know what? It's kind of smudgy right there. I don't like that. I'm going to do it again. Okay. While I have this out, may as well go ahead and wipe this one off and let it be drying. Okay, so let's try that one again. I don't know what happened. That's not normal, but that's okay. It's easy to redo. Okay, perfect. All right, then I shouldn't need that color again. Go ahead and clean that off. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and punch it out with, this is our, you know what, I'm not even sure which punch this is. You know, I looked it up a few minutes ago, and I thought I wrote it down, and I didn't. Let me do that real quick. I want to make sure you know. It's going to be on my my blog anyway. This one is the story label punch. I love this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it, or not stamp it, but I'm going to cut it out so there's a little bit more space in the upper right hand corner. You'll see why in a little bit. Okay, I'll set that aside. Alright, so now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just color this a little bit. I'm going to use my Petal Pink Stampin' Blends. I'm going to use the dark one for this one. And I'm just going to lightly kind of just add a touch of color here, not a lot. Espresso ink is not alcohol based, so it will smear if you're not careful. So every now and then I just kind of reach over here and make sure I don't have any on my brush tip. Okay, I'm just adding a little touch of color. I don't want to have a lot. I just want a hint. It's a very subtle card, very gentle card. The card is for a lady in my church, just lost her sister this last week, and so I wanted to make her something to let her know that I was thinking about her. Okay, and that's all the coloring I'm going to do on this. On this one, I am going to get a little bit more in depth. So, and like I said, the early espresso is not alcohol based, so it can smear. You have to be careful with that. So every few strokes, I'm going to do dark in the center, and I go ahead and wipe just to make sure I didn't pick up any early espresso and have it smearing. Okay. Okay, right there. Alright, and then I'm going to use the lighter one, and you got to be careful you don't go out of bounds. And also, so I'm just going to kind of reach in and kind of swirl and pull outward, and then get careful at the ends. Now I'm going to wipe. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I'm not using alcohol, not alcohol based, but a permanent. The markers are alcohol based. Normally what we would use for our outline for coloring would be our Memento ink. Early espresso is not permanent, it is water based, but look, it didn't smear, so that's good. And I'm just going to make sure my marker tip is not messed up. And then I'm going to use Old Olive, light and dark. I'm going to go ahead and use the light first, and I'm going to use the skinny tip for this one. And I'm just going to color this part right here, and I'm going to color partially down the stem gently. Careful that I don't color outside the lines. Sometimes it's okay, but this time I want it to be a little neater. And I'm looking at that flower and thinking, I think I would like it a little darker inside. So it doesn't have enough contrast for me. I feel like I want it just a little bit more. That's a little better. I don't know if you can see that, but it made a little bit of a difference. And then I'm going to take this dark Old Olive, and I'm going to use the skinny tip, and I'm just going to color where these little shaded areas already are, and just a little bit down the side, just gently. I'm barely touching it. Okay, it actually really soaks in. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Big Shot. And where did I put the dies? Okay, I'm going to actually use this little circle die. This came from Layering Circles. There's 8 circles and there's 8 scallops, and I'm using the smallest circle, and I'm going to cut this out. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead, and while I have my Big Shot out, I'm going to cut out an oval piece of vellum. So let me grab that real quick. And as a matter of fact, to save time, I'm going to go ahead and run them through at the same time. So here's my oval. And this oval, I chose this size because I want this to fit in it. Okay. So let's go ahead and layer this up. Well, okay. Put this down here. Well, let's do this. I want to run them at the same time, so I have to be careful of my space. Okay. And then I'll do this one. I think that'll work. All right, and then put my top of my sandwich on. Oh, I think it moved my circle. It did. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I did have kind of an idea of what I wanted to be featured. It's not working. You know what? It's not saving time, so don't do it. I'm running the oval first, and then I'll run the circle. this video to get too long, take too long to upload. Okay, so I have a vellum oval now. And then I'm going to put this little circle right there and make my sandwich. Oh, there we go. Okay. And so now I have this little circle. Yeah, that looks about right. I was thinking I wanted some of the leaf in there, but I don't think the leaf really fit. And I was looking at the one that I cut out earlier, and it didn't have a leaf either, so no big deal. Okay, so let me put these away so I don't lose them. I have a tendency to lose these things. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and layer this on, and I'm just going to use my snail for that. All right. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put dimensionals on the back. And I put 2 here, and I put 2 on either end. You can use as many or as few as you like, depending on your preference. I'm going to set that aside. And then I'm going to just set that aside too. Okay, now what I want to do next is I want to go ahead and layer this onto the early espresso, and I'm going to use my liquid glue for that. And the reason why I use the liquid glue, a lot of people use snail. I used to use snail all the time, but I love how if you get off a little bit on the edges, you have a little bit of grace time in getting things lined back up the way you want them before the glue actually adheres fully. So if you have uneven edges, see, I can slip it around a little bit before it really grabs and gives me some time to really get it down. That's so pretty. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to take the seam binding ribbon, and I'm going to use my dark petal pink to color it. It comes in Whisper White, and I want it to be petal pink. So I'm just going to take a length of it. I'm just going to go ahead and cut. I think this should be plenty. And then I'm going to color. Whoop, wrong end. Color with the brush end. It goes a lot faster. There we go, much better. And this ribbon is very thin and porous, so it goes right through. You don't have to color both sides. But look at the difference. It just really, it's really cool. I love it. It's so versatile. You just get a whole bunch of spools of this ribbon, and then just color whatever you want. And it's wrinkly, but I like it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this around this card at the bottom. I'm going to try to make a bow before my camera says I don't have any more space. Okay, so I'm going to do a bow real quick. Maybe. I don't know if I have enough ribbon for a bow. I may just have to do a little knot. Oh, you know what I might have to do? I might have to do the cheater method. I may have to do that. So let's go ahead and tie. I may just have to go ahead. I don't know that I have enough. Well, let's try it. It's just going to be a small bow. Oh, come on. Oh, that's not bad. Okay. That actually works out okay. That'll be fine. Okay, so then I'm going to lay this down right here next to that bow. I'm going to go ahead and pull these off. Normally we don't glue this. I think I'm going backwards. I probably should have waited, but that's okay. It'll be all right because I'm using liquid glue anyway to adhere this onto the card base. So it'll be fine. All right, so I'm going to lay this right here. And then what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to get some glue dots, and I just want to put it right there. And so I'm just going to put some glue dots along this bottom part. If I can find, where's my glue dots? There we go. So around the bottom, right there. Probably use like 2. I think should be plenty. Yeah. All right, so that can go right there. All right, and then the last thing I'm going to do before I embellish, I'm going to just take my liquid glue and I'm going to glue this onto my card base. Okay. Okay, there we go. Just let that sit for a minute. All right, then while that's sitting, I'm going to pull out. So these are in the spring catalog right now, or the January to June. I never get that right. January to June catalog. They are our champagne rhinestone basic jewels. I'm going to put just a few. I'm just going to put like 3. I'm going to put one on this flower here, and I might just go ahead and do a big. Should I do a big, like a medium-sized one, maybe? I'll do one of these medium-sized ones. Put it right there with my take your pick tool. All right, and then I'll just get like 2 of these little tiny ones, and I'm just gonna stick them just kind of random, maybe one up here, and then one like, I don't know, like right there. Okay, and so there's the card, and really cute, pretty easy to do. The paper was retired. Like I said, the background paper was retired. We do have Whisper White, we have Early Espresso, we have the Petal Pink, we have this stamp set, we have this ribbon, we have the blenders, we have the rhinestones, but the stamp set is what's no longer with us, and the background paper. But this is the card that inspired me. This was done in one of our card classes with a suite that we currently have, Magnolia Lane. We have this punch. This is the 1-inch circle punch. This is the one, and I don't know if that's the one. Actually, that might be the nesting circles, the layering circles, sorry. We have these sequins right now. This stamp set right here, we have that. We have this ribbon. This is a Petal Pink ribbon. So we have all of this right now in our catalog, but you can take something that somebody did, or somebody showed you how to do, or you did in a class, or you found on Pinterest, and you just look through your stash and see what you have that could be maybe comparable, and just make it your own. I mean, really, it's very similar. Ribbon, layering pieces, but they're slightly different. The background flowers are slightly different. But it's very, very similar. And you can do that. You can take projects that I make and make it with your own stuff. Okay? So, get crafty. Bye.